Greetings everyone, and welcome to the first in a series of video blogs about Wrack's art. My name is Remco Ernst, I'm the art director working on Wrack, and today I want to talk about the birth and mindset behind our art style. First of all, Wrack hasn't always been a cel-shaded game. In early development, when the game was still called Strike, we adopted a realistic art style. But after a while we noticed that it was very hard for us to find a unique graphical identity within a realistic art style. At that time you couldn't even tell by seeing an environmental screenshot that it belonged to Wrack. It could as well have been Quake 2, for example. This was one, but not all of the reasons that we turned towards cel shading. Another reason for the cel shading was that Wrack is inspired by a lot of old arcade games, like the Mega Man series, Contra and Castlevania. All of those games came from a period that was ruled by colorful games full of exaggeration. And a realistic, gritty art style would just not emit that feeling. The last and final important reason for the change of cel shading is that it gives you more freedom in the creation of aesthetics without the use of advanced rendering techniques. Some would ask me, why is that? Well, let me explain. In this day and age, first-person shooters are mostly heavily dependent on graphics. Most of them have a realistic art style, which in these days need a lot of modern shading for it to not look dated. But this is not the case with cel shading. For example, if you want to create a texture for Wrack, you just draw it, save it as a PNG, and it's ready to use. If you want to do this with a more advanced engine like Unreal 3, it becomes a lot more complicated and requires you to have knowledge of multi-layered texturing techniques. Besides the base texture, you also need to create different maps for the shading techniques, like specular, emissive and normal maps. This will turn off and limit some people's creativity, because they know what they want, but they just don't want to spend hours learning the ropes of complicated tools. However, our engine is supporting those shaders and many other extra features for people who would like to use them. It is just not necessary for making a Wrack map or creating a full game. So it ends up being a choice instead of raising the learning curve for beginners and casual designers. The same also counts for particle effects. The only thing you have to do is importing a PNG image in the particle editor that is included with Wrack. You can then tweak its many settings, like size, velocity, growth and many more. So then again, no heavy scripting is required to create basic particle effects. For advanced particles, we recently added the possibility for sprite sheets. This allows you to create amazing looking animated particles. For example, when you want to break a crate in the November version, it ends up looking like this. But with the recently implemented breakable models and sprite sheets, it looks like this. We have added a ton more of these effects, like for the gifts. And for the barrels, which can now explode. And this is just a small glimpse of everything that we have been doing to improve the game's visual quality. For that reason, I want to give you guys an in-depth look at all the improvements with my upcoming videos. This was it for today, and I hope to see you again soon with a video about texturing and color usage. If you have any feedback or suggestions, you can leave a comment at this video or at my Steam profile, which you can find on our Greenlight page. Thanks for listening and take care.